Hello, my name's Joey, and welcome back to my tour of props and artifacts. I'm on holiday in the Gran Canaria, and this is more of a memory video because I wanted to remember this thing that happened to me on Friday the 27th of March 2026. So basically what happened was I got a message from my mum at work saying there was a pigeon trapped between our two garages. Now the garages are built like that, but they V-shape at the bottom. So this wood pigeon had spent the whole day in between the two garages. It couldn't get out because of the V-shape, and it didn't have room to spread its wings either. So whereas, you know, any other creature would just probably climb and squeeze its way out, it couldn't do that because of the shape. So this is all going to tie together. In the morning I found this book and I thought, well, I've got to keep this because this is called Miffy the Rabbit, and I always had Miffy the Rabbit books when I was a little kid. They were the books that I would go to the library and get, and that's why I couldn't leave it behind. I thought, well, I'm going to keep that. That's a little bit of my childhood, very young age. And so I found this book in the morning and I took it into work, and there we go. We'll leave that aside for the minute. So the pigeon had been there all day, and when I got home, of course it was dark, and the pigeon was there and I was outside the garage. And it's that kind of, that point of language where you think, well, like, this is a hopeless situation. I can't talk to this pigeon to say come forward. I can't really grab him because I can only get one hand in there, but because the garage is like that, there's only so far you can go. And of course it's pouring down with rain as well, isn't it? So I thought, right, okay, if I build him a ledge, he can jump onto the ledge and literally just walk out. So I got two bins, put them on their side, went and got a really long piece of wood and put a ledge on the inside of the inside of the garages. So in theory, he could just hop on and walk out and off you go. Well, that didn't happen. I had to keep kind of, first of all, I'm nudging him with I got on the shed roof and I'm nudging him with a stick, and well, the stick's not long enough, so I've got to get down flat on the shed roof. Of course it's pouring with rain and I'm now completely soaked trying to move this pigeon, and it got to the point where even the pigeon had given up, like, you know, you can touch me with a stick, I don't care. So in the end, I went inside, and my wife said, "What about my son's net?" I thought, what a brilliant idea! So I got the net, sellotaped it together, and went back on the roof again. Incidentally, I have to add that my mum had been feeding the pigeon food all day, so he was quite all right, probably quite happy there. But yeah, so whilst I was chasing him with the wood, going backwards again, whilst I was chasing him with the wood, he was just running backwards and forwards, He couldn't move his wings, and 3 times he went under the ledge that I built him to just walk on and jump out. And I thought, oh, this is hopeless. So then, of course, with the net was a bit more kind of adventure, a bit more, what's not forgiving, it's a bit more fruitful, there we go. So I'm kind of using the net, and I got him for a tiny bit, and off he went again. So in the end, the net was quite good for kind of blocking his way. And what happened was, he ended up going the opposite side of the garage, which was the garden side. And because I got to a point I thought I'm going to have to scare him out of this place now. So he managed to go to the other side of the garage, and my God, he managed to, that little V shape, he managed to actually push himself through at last. He'd had all day, but I knew fear was going to eventually do it. So he pushed himself through, right? He came out of the V shape of the shed, only to be trapped by the pipe coming down. And I thought, oh great, you know, he's trapped now between the shed and the pipe. So I thought, I've got to get off the shed and I've got to remove the pipe so he can go. But I thought at the same time, I don't want him going back into the garage, into between the garages again, because that's it, he's gone again. So I blocked him off with a net, and as I got off the garage, he managed to wedge himself out of the pipe. And of course, the main reason I didn't want him there is because a cat uses that walk through, and I didn't want him to be easy pickings for a cat. And then at the same time I thought, well, he's now on the grass at night. Is he going to fly away? Is he not? I don't want a cat getting him. So I managed to put some gloves on. I got some gloves and I picked him up and he wriggled a bit. And I thought, and then he went down again and I thought, well, is he going to fly? You know, so then I'm kind of chasing him across the garden. My aim now was to grab him and put him in a tree. But I grabbed him again, and then this was the reason I wanted to remember this. He literally flew away, which was great. And as he flew away into the night sky, I was so happy because we'd won, you know. As he flies off into the night sky, which is a mixture of orange from the street lamps and the darkness of the clouds, it was such a lovely feeling to see him going off, and that was one of the reasons I wanted to make a video, because I wanted to remember that moment. And this was the funny thing which was foreshadowing. This book, Miffy the Rabbit, so as I'm reading it, as I'm coming home, walking in the street in the dark, it's not much to read because it's for toddlers. The book is about a sad bird. So this is how it's quite foreshadowing. It's about a sad bird. And there I was going home to a sad bird. And I didn't know if I could rescue it or not. Because it's that kind of moment where you're on the roof. You're in a situation where it's only saving a pigeon, you know. But you're in a situation where it is kind of completely hopeless, but you still want to push through. You still want to find that answer. And in the end, the net was the answer. And in the end, fear was the answer. Just to keep pushing him out, with fear. So that was it, basically. I just wanted to remember that tale. Wanted to remember the fact that it was pouring down with rain and I was getting drenched because I was lying in the rain. And in the end, we won. We saved the pigeon. So there we go. Have fun. Look after yourselves. There is the sad bird. Oh, which we managed to save. Take care. Oh, hello, there he is. See you later.